Ladies and gentlemen, thank you and welcome to the OITVOIP Partner First webinars. It feels like it's been way too long since our last one. Even though we had the joys and the fun of Cloud Connection Summit, we definitely missed doing these, and I know you guys did too. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Today I have with me our esteemed guests from Datagate. They were a sponsor of CCS 2020 and a proud partner of OIT, and we're happy to have them on here today as well. First, I want to welcome Mr. Mark Lovies, CEO of Datagate. Mark, how you doing, my friend?
Hi, Ray. Thank you. And sorry, my sound just went off there, so if you saw me looking a little bit alarmed, I thought, "Oh, what's happened?" But great to be here at this time, and it's certainly an interesting time in the industry for MSPs, and we're really glad to be here with you, and thank you for joining us, everyone. I'd like to introduce Usman Zahur, who's my colleague here. He's our sales engineer, our product expert. He's based in Vancouver, and along with our Vancouver team. I'll hand over to you, Usman, to do another introduction.
Yeah, hey everyone. Thanks for joining us. As Mark mentioned, excited to be doing this presentation along with Ray and his team. And now I'd like to introduce Greg Robinson, our sales manager for North America region.
Yeah, greetings everybody from Jacksonville, Florida.
You're local to me. I'm over in Miami.
Yeah, exactly. Just down 95 a little ways.
Nice. So for those of you that don't know, Datagate is, one of the biggest questions we get whenever we're talking to new white label partners, or those considering getting into the VoIP space is, for MSPs, we're using ConnectWise. We're in the ConnectWise ecosystem. We're using Quozl, or Cell, sorry. We're using Automate. We're using Connect Booster. We're using all these things. And normally an MSP has this ecosystem, this workflow already set up. And to go into VoIP, traditionally, ConnectWise was incapable of doing these things. Didn't have enough tax lines, didn't have a way to integrate with any kind of telco tax rating engine, didn't know how to process CDRs, and it was always a pain point because MSPs would have to separate the VoIP and the MSP lives, and it was very difficult for everybody involved. For the admin team, the billing team, the finance, or even tech to know what's included. Right? We teach our techs to look at the agreements to see what's included, and so Datagate's come up with a solution for this, and that's why I'm really excited because they've made a way. Now, I want to be very clear before we get started. Datagate's an entire billing solution all on its own. So if you're not using ConnectWise, it doesn't matter. You can still use Datagate. But I wanted to address, the highest rated question we get on a regular basis with potential white label partners: how do I bill? Especially when they're using ConnectWise, and that's what we're covering today. Mark, did I leave anything out of that?
No, that sums it up really well, Ray. It's something that we've designed for the MSP, and we have a very tight partnership with ConnectWise, and we also work well with all the accounting systems that MSPs use. So our focus is on really solving that problem, making it easy and efficient for MSPs to build telecom.
Absolutely. And like we do everything, if you join the tech bar, if you join other chats we've done, this is open to everybody. I see, there's already several of you watching on YouTube and Facebook. The chat is live. We're monitoring. We want to answer your questions. We're going to get to every single one of them. So, please feel free. And there's enough of us today that I think we can answer everybody and not miss anything. But without much further ado, Mark, I think you have some slides you want to share with us. You want me to put that on the screen?
Yes, please. Yeah, thank you, Ray.
Absolutely.
And actually, just so people can get an introduction to our team, we'll share the introduction, and I'll ask Greg Robinson and our Jacksonville, Florida office to start the presentation. Thank you, Greg.
Hey, great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. We're going to give you a little high overview on what we actually provide as part of the solution. But first, a little bit about us. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Whoever's driving the slides. There we go. Okay, now this is who we are. Of course, you're already seeing our faces, which is great. But I'm a sales manager for North America, based here in Jacksonville, Florida, just up the road from Ray. And we've got both Mark and Usman are in our office in Vancouver, Canada. So they're over the other side of the country. So we do actually have offices here Vancouver. We just opened a new office in actually North Sydney, and of course our original office back in Auckland, New Zealand. But we've got customers all over the world. We do have customers here, obviously in the United States, Canada, but also UK, Australia, New Zealand, Belgium, and recently the Netherlands as well, which is great because we do provide a global support environment. Having teams around the world, we're able to cover you through all the different time zones. And if you're an international client as well. We are specifically for MSPs. When we look at what we do, we say we like to stay in our lane. You'll hear that from us a lot. But we really are designed specifically for the MSPs, focused on what your needs are, what you're trying to do. You want to bill for VoIP services. You want to do it easy. And we understand that. We get it. And that's really what our goal is to do. So we'd like to talk a little bit now about some of the challenges in VoIP. If we can go to the next screen, please. There we go. Obviously, compliance. We all know what compliance is like for VoIP in America. One of our big focuses is that making sure we get it right, making sure we can help you get through the complicated tax structures and get the proper taxes on the bill. So people are paying what they should and not overpaying, not underpaying, but paying it right and keeping it current because this is always changing. We also handle the formatting. You want to make sure things look legal for one thing, and you want to make sure it looks like it's your company and you're well represented. So we put a lot of effort into making sure that the invoice looks the way it should look for you, should look for your clients, and Usman will do a great job of showing you some of that in a little bit. And flexibility. We know you guys are all a little bit different. You do things a little bit differently. So we have a lot of flexibility in setting things up. We've got a great support team, a great setup team, and they'll make sure that when they're working with you, it works the way you want it to do and it works right. So next screen, please. There we go. So a little bit about our system here. We are a totally integrated solution. We're talking today, of course, with Ray. Great to have these guys as a partner. They're a perfect fit. ConnectWise, of course, many of you folks use that. And the other products out there like Connect Booster and Xero, which a lot of folks are using these days. And we found them to be the most popular, and we totally integrate to those as well. We also know that you guys have different pricing plans. They're all over the place. There are some standards, but definitely all over the place. And we have been able to address all of those so far. Complex, you guys come up with something, we've had no trouble doing it. Scalability is good too. We have a lot of customers who started off rather small, and then they grow. And we want them to be able to grow without having to grow a lot of effort. The system is designed so that as you grow, the system is very easy to add 100 customers more, 200 customers more, whatever you want to do. And I think the term simplify taxes probably is an oxymoron in our world, but we try to make it easy. We tried to structure it so that it's not onerous to you guys. It's not going to kill you. Let us handle the hard part. Let us handle getting the billing right. Let us handle making sure the taxes are right. So with that, let me turn it over to you, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Well, we love diagrams at Datagate because it's a nice way to explain how we fit in with all the other systems that you use in your back office. So so this is what we call our 30,000-foot view diagram, and it's really just an overview. It shows how Datagate is really designed to be part of a solution that MSPs use. So we connect to everything, starting from your voice provider, OITVOIP here, through to all the other systems that MSPs like to use. So I'm going to just run through now and talk about all these different connections and how we leverage all these other platforms, and we share data with those platforms as well. So our design philosophy is stay in our lane, and that means that we don't try and reproduce the functionality that other systems have that you're already using. Like ConnectWise Manage, for example, is full of functionality that MSPs use, and we believe in leveraging and complementing that functionality, not trying to replace it, not trying to cause confusion in your business by having multiple systems doing the same things. So where we start in our discussion of integration is that we connect to OITVOIP, your VoIP provider. We receive all the CDR records, all the call detail records, and we do that in the background, so it's something you don't have to even think about. So that call data will be coming throughout the month, and we'll validate it. We'll check, make sure everything's correct, make sure you've got pricing plans set up for all the calls that are coming through, make sure we recognize the DIDs, make sure that the calls are happening at a time that you're expecting them to happen, for example, after you've provisioned the service and before it's been terminated. So in terms of generating the invoice, that's something that you do At some stage during the month, you can start the invoicing process with a couple of clicks that Usman's going to show us shortly. But I just want to say we support all the pricing plans that are common in the telecom industry. So we enable you to be like a big telecom provider like AT&T, or where you can offer fixed plans, 1-800, international calls, buckets of minutes, overage charges, bundles, kits. So we give you that capability as an MSP to be just as clever with your billing as the big guys are. So in terms of taxes, as Greg mentioned, we actually connect to the major tax engines. CCH SureTax is a good partner of ours, and also OITVOIP. So what happens is when we're calculating the invoice, it passes it over via API to the tax engine, which looks at the zip code of the customer to see what tax jurisdictions that customer is in, or where their services are provisioned, and it just instantaneously adds all the correct telecom taxes and sales taxes to the invoice, any surcharges, etc., and then hands that invoice back to us. And that all happens instantaneously. And what's more, that data is now made available so that your tax and compliance partner can do that now. So OITVOIP and Datagate have a partnership with Compliance Solutions, and they can handle all the filing of the taxes, etc. So that takes that complexity away from you.
Absolutely, and it should be noted that all of the solutions we're providing here are agnostic, right? So, if you have a different compliance company that's taking care of these things for you, or we can absolutely do that. One of the things I love about the platform is because the tax engine, because CCH SureTax is already handling everything nationwide. One of the best things about VoIP is you can provide VoIP anywhere. So if you start offering services in a neighboring market, or even something across the country, it doesn't matter, because from day one you're set to handle these things. Datagate's going to take the service zip code, SureTax is going to apply the appropriate calculations, and everything will happen properly. It's just a quick conversation with your compliance company. How do we maintain compliance in this new jurisdiction? But it really makes VoIP billing easy, which is what I love.
Absolutely. And with the right partners and the right systems in place, it's all very easy and automatic. And I've got a saying that I say is, get your VoIP taxes right so you can sleep at night. And that's basically, when you come to billing VoIP, you've got to be sure that you are charging the right taxes, so you're not building up a liability as an MSP. And so by having the right systems in place, like that we can offer with our partners, that will become something you don't have to worry about. It's all taken care of for you. So very important, and we always make a thing of talking about this side of the solution. So tax partners, and there are ways that you can recover the cost of the tax processing too. There's surcharges, and your tax partner can advise you on that. So don't think of that as an expensive thing. It's something that it's just part of selling telecom services.
Well, it's not even a big deal, because we help you guys sell. I'll give a little pitch here for Sean. We make sure you're profitable. We make sure you get selling, and so this is not it's just a cost of doing business. It's not going to be a loss or anything like that. And we have the conventions to help you recoup some of those costs from your clients. The FCC allows for that. So, and if I'm not mistaken, Datagate has conventions for that, right? So you can do your cost recovery fee or however you're doing it. So that burden, the FCC has already allowed for us to pass that on to our clients in some capacity.
Absolutely. So once the invoice is generated in Datagate, you can then have a look at the invoices, check them out. Usman will show us how we do this. You can make changes, even if you see something that was a spelling mistake or a pricing mistake, or anything you want to change on the invoice. You can actually regenerate it with Datagate. You can go back and change the underlying data, and then regenerate with the same invoice number. And so before you send the invoice out, it's actually it's available to be checked and corrected if there's anything wrong with it. So when you actually send the invoice out, that's when it sort of says, okay, this is a real invoice now. So at that point, when you send the invoices out, you can send them straight from Datagate as an email, as a PDF attached to that email. It'll be formatted to your requirements. So this is something with Datagate we can make the invoice look like with your branding and the layout that you want. So that goes out to your customer, and then it's flagged in the system as being sent, and then at that stage it can be passed to other solutions. If you're working with a solution like Connect Booster that actually will do the invoice sending, you can do that as an option as well, and that's something that a number of our customers do when they like to bundle the telecom invoice together with the ConnectWise or other invoices that they've been generating through the month. So once you've sent the invoice out, you can now pass it through to your other software that you're using. So we, as Ray mentioned, we have a really tight integration with ConnectWise Manage. That's very, very popular with our MSP clients. We can also integrate directly into QuickBooks, QuickBooks Online, Xero, etc. So this is where we save you a lot of keying and accuracy. And as your business scales, you really want to have automated integrations between your systems, so that the actual workload doesn't go up exponentially as your sales go exponentially.
Can you share any roadmap real quick? Are you going to be integrating with any other PSAs?
Yes, we've been looking at Autotask as being the next one, Autotask from Datto, and so that's watch the space. We'll be announcing that in a few months' time.
Excellent.
So everything we do at Datagate is for MSP. So that's our market. We're always talking with our customers, finding out what software solutions that they use, and making sure that our total focus is on MSPs, billing telecom. So this information flow between systems, like with Datagate, with the PSA system, is that we obviously pass the invoice through to it, but we also before that we can also read agreements from the ConnectWise system. So we can also share company details. So if you enter a new customer into ConnectWise Manage, that will flow through to Datagate, and you won't have to rekey it. We offer the same sort of thing. If you're just using QuickBooks without ConnectWise, we can also do the same company detail sharing with QuickBooks itself. So we also share agreements agreements with ConnectWise Manage. So we work on an agreement sort of system as well. So and that actually enables, because we work off the ConnectWise agreement, it means that we therefore have an integration to ConnectWise Sell or Quozal, as was previously known. So it means for an MSP, they can actually start off by generating a quote in ConnectWise Sell, which then within the ConnectWise environment, when it gets accepted by their customer, it then turns into an agreement inside ConnectWise Manage, which in turn then flows through to Datagate for billing purposes. So in terms of payment options, if you're working with ConnectWise, you have a number of different options within the ConnectWise environment. You've also got a number of options with with QuickBooks. QuickBooks have an excellent online payment platform as well. But if you want the really top of the line payment processing, we recommend a product called Connect Booster, and we recommend it because it's so popular with a lot of our clients. Connect Booster is like an automated accounts receivable department. It will send out your invoices from ConnectWise, QuickBooks, Datagate. It will package together. It will have a link that goes back to the Connect Booster site. It enables you to see all the invoices that, as a customer of the MSP, that you've had. You can click on any of them. If you click on the Datagate invoice, it's going to reach back into Datagate to show you the Datagate invoice in its PDF format, how you've had it formatted. If you click on a ConnectWise invoice, it'll show the ConnectWise format. So and the same thing with QuickBooks. So and I think it also does reminder emails as well. So if it reminds customers that their payment's due soon, and it also reminds them if they haven't paid their bill, it'll give them a link back to the site. It supports credit cards, ACH, automatic credit card payments, and automatic ACH payments. So it's quite a full-featured payment solution option. It's another they're another partner of ConnectWise that we work a lot with.
And that's
So now
something
coming back,
that should be said, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's something that's super important to say, that if you're doing MSP today, you have this ecosystem. You're doing QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, ConnectWise Manage, Connect Booster. You already have this workflow set up. One of the biggest concerns, besides taxation, obviously, but one of the major concerns that potential white label and even existing white label have is we're going to have to create this all new process to be able to handle this, and you really don't, because if we're throwing CDRs at Datagate's putting items into ConnectWise is, or even if you're starting from Cell or from QuoteWorks and starting from there, and then everything's going back into QuickBooks Online, and going into your Connect Booster portal, your customer's experience doesn't change in one bit. Your workflow doesn't change one bit. And I think that's something that bears repeating because it's so important to the MSP. We're talking about zero disruption to your workday, even though you're adding this, in my opinion, awesome revenue potential by adding these extra services to your stack.
Absolutely, that's put really well, right? And by listening to our customers, they tell us if they're using ConnectWise, they want ConnectWise to be the center of where they can look to find information about their customers. So they love the fact that we pass all our information back to ConnectWise, and they can go there and see all the invoices. So ConnectWise is the sort of single pane of glass for what's happening, and so really it's sort of listening to the MSPs. How do you work, and how do we fit that process? That's really been our approach to designing Datagate. And the same thing if you're using QuickBooks, QuickBooks becomes the center reference. You've got all the invoices go back there, and this approach, as you say, it leverages all the partner solutions. Not only do all the people, all your staff that look at ConnectWise, not only can they see everything that's going on, but all the partner software products that work with the ConnectWise platform, they can also see the Datagate invoice too. And so that's how come we can work so tightly with Connect Booster and any of the other solutions that work with ConnectWise. So it's really making it compatible with what the MSPs are already doing. So that's our approach. And I think the other thing we've been seeing recently, if you see any of our social media posting, we're seeing a huge growth in the VoIP market. We're seeing that our existing customers in the United States, we saw over the last 12 months an average of 77% growth in VoIP. So that's basically our existing customers who've been with us more than 12 months. We took out, in calculating that number, we took out a lot of the outliers, the ones that had phenomenally fast growth for some unusual case. We took that out of the calculation. We didn't want to distort the numbers. And so we want to give a very representative figure. And so we're seeing huge growth, and it does not seem to have been affected by the tragic COVID issues and lockdowns and that sort of thing. It seems that, if anything, the COVID tragedy is actually making people more reliant on their VoIP and unified comms systems. It's it's actually kept our MSP customers very busy, setting up the work from home and that and work remotely, follow me type of system. So it's been very interesting to see all that. So so at this stage we can have now a look at the Datagate system, and I'll ask Usman to take over, and he's going to show us how the Datagate system works. So if we switch to Usman's screen.
There we go. Perfect. Thanks, Ray. Hey, everyone. So now we'd like to kind of quickly run through an overview of what this process actually looks like within the Datagate system. I know from looking at the flow chart and the presentation, it sometimes seems like there's a lot of different things going on, but really for the most part, we have tried to kind of simplify the process as much as possible. In fact, in the spirit of making everything very MSP centric, you'll see in just a second here that this process of invoicing in Datagate is pretty similar to what you're doing already in terms of invoicing out of ConnectWise. So we have tried to kind of streamline it in that sense as much as possible. Keep it familiar and keep it reliable and simple throughout. As Greg mentioned, whether you're invoicing 100 customers or 1,000 customers, it is the same sort of steps involved. So let's get started here. Now, let's say in this scenario, you're in July and you're at the end of the month. Yeah, you're coming up to the end of the month, and you've got to do your invoicing for your telecom customers. Well, first in Datagate, you head on over to the main invoicing screen here, which is just located on the left-hand side. Perfect. The first step involves picking a due date. In this example, since we want to do the invoicing for the month of July, let's pick the due date as, let's say, July the 31st. And the reason I'm choosing July as the example, for this demo portal, we've set it so that it thinks that the invoicing for the month of June has been completed, and then the next month to invoice going off of the June invoicing, of course, is going to be July. So when you pick July the 31st as the due date, what the system is doing is it's looking at that last invoice that was sent out to the customer. It's looking at the type of billing frequency that you've got them set up on, whether that's monthly billing, whether that's weekly, whether that's biweekly, and we do support all of those frequencies. Just up to you to just sort of decide how you want to do that. And then it's looking at any transactions that have occurred since that last bill was sent out. So any usage charges that have flown through, any recurring product charges that have flown through, sort of any of those transactions. And then from there, once you choose a due date, it looks at all that information and decides for all your customers, what's the next bill that we can generate. Again, in this scenario, it's covering everything from July the 1st to July the 31st, because again, the billing for the month of June has been completed. So this is one of those things where you don't really have to think about it at all every single month. You can just go into your Datagate system, pick your due date every month, and it'll automatically pull up all these invoices that you can generate. Then from there, you can really just select all your customers all at once. If you do want to be selective and just invoice a few at a time, that's not a problem as well. We can definitely handle that. But most of our customers, again, fall into this rhythm of logging into Datagate every month, for 15 minutes and selecting all their customers, doing everything in sort of a bulk fashion to save themselves lots of time. So we've selected all our customers now. We can hit the generate button up here. There's a few more options you got to go through, like selecting an invoice date. You can also pick a due date over here. And then finally, you'd hit the generate button. And what that does is it starts the invoice generation process where the system is looking at that usage that occurred, looking at the pricing plans that you have set up, however you've got them set up. As Mark mentioned, we do handle pretty much every type of pricing plan, whether those are flat fees or whether those are highly customized offerings. That's not a problem. And then, of course, it's also taking that invoice data, passing it on over the tax engine, and the taxes are calculated as well. And all this process, it is relatively quick. It does depend on the amount of invoices that you're generating, and it's generally anywhere from about a few seconds to about a minute or so on the high end of things. Once it is complete, though, you're automatically taken over the second invoicing tab, which is Action Invoices, with the newly generated invoices right up at the top. Once again, we can select all our invoices, and then there's a variety of actions that you can perform. Now, Mark mentioned that if you did want to have a quick look at these invoices to make sure that they look correct before you actually send them out to your customers, when you hover over any of these invoice numbers, there's a little eye icon that pops up that you can click to kind of get a quick preview of this invoice, just to check it out before you send it out to your customers. And just speaking about the statuses a little bit as well, there are a couple of different statuses that you'll see in the system here. One thing to note, if there are any issues, any errors or anything like that during this invoicing process, now, of course, it doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, we've try to make it as clear as possible that some sort of issue happened. Like rather than seeing this orange, yellow generated status, if there was some sort of issue during generation, it would change to this bright red gen failed status. Perhaps a DID wasn't recognized by the system, and there was some sort of issue along those lines. But anyways, long story short, if there is some sort of issue, we'll alert you of that, and you won't be sending out invoices that don't look correct to your customers for any of those reasons. So again, we can go over here, select all of our customers, or select all the newly generated invoices, head on over to the actions dropdown. And the next steps sort of depend on how you prefer to get your invoices out to your customers, whether you want to use Datagate to send these invoices off, whether you want to use something like Connect Booster to send these off. Again, those options are available to you. If you are using Datagate, what you can do is you can select email selected, and any of these invoices, any of these customers that you've marked as an email customer and you've got an email assigned to them, it'll shoot off PDF attachments to that customized email directly to your customers. If you don't want to do that, if you want to use something like Connect Booster to send them out, and you don't want your customers receiving double invoices from both Datagate and Connect Booster, what you can do instead of choosing email selected, you can choose mark as sent. And what that'll do is it'll change the status from generated to either sent or sent manually. In this case, let's just switch it over to sent manually to kind of demonstrate that. Perfect.
Actually, I would just say when we're sending emails, we do monitor that the email got through, so that's a source of error as well. So that would show up as a red button if there was any problem sending the email, and you can then address whatever caused that to happen.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, so now we're switching to the sent status. Whether it's in sent or sent manually doesn't really matter. The reason I've switched it over to sent manually is just to kind of demonstrate the next nice feature of Datagate, the main feature, which is, of course, now getting this data, getting these invoices that have been generated through Datagate out into your external systems without having to do a whole lot of work. So once again, we can go ahead and select all of these invoices, whether they're sent or sent manually, doesn't really matter. We can head on over to the actions dropdown again. But this time around, what we'll do is we'll choose the export invoice option, and it'll ask you for a quick confirmation. And then our export wizard will open up, which will give you a couple of different export formats that you can choose. So we do have direct integrations into some accounting systems like Xero and Quickbooks. And of course, we've got export options directly into ConnectWise as well. And then once you select one of those export options, say ConnectWise Multiline, you can click the export button, and that'll take all of the raw data from these invoices, push it into your ConnectWise system, push it into your accounting system, whatever that is, without you having to manually go in there and manually enter all that information in there. And then, of course, from your ConnectWise system, these invoices can be then picked up by any external systems that are also connected to your ConnectWise system, such as something like Connect Booster, such as if you've got that your accounting system directly hooked up to ConnectWise as well. And really, that's pretty much the entire invoicing process in Datagate, and that's the entire process that you'd have to do, say, if you are invoicing your customers on a monthly basis, all the way from getting those invoices generated out to your customers, and then finally out to your external systems as well. And really, of course, I went into a lot more detail than you would need to go when you're doing it every month. And what our customers are saying is this process is really, really straightforward, really simple every month. Just a matter of a few mouse clicks, and you can have all your invoicing pretty much completed for the entire month. And if you want to see this process in a little bit more detail, and if you want to see how this invoice, ends up from Datagate into ConnectWise, and we can kind of go over that stuff as well. You can always book a demo with us, and we can kind of take a deep dive into that and show you how that kind of works. But for the most part, that's the entire process. Whether you're generating 10 invoices or 1,000 invoices, it is the same sort of simple and straightforward workflow. And that's it for me. I guess we can go back over to the slide deck now. I believe we've got a section for some Q&A.
Absolutely. So, I'm putting questions in the chat for those of you that have tried doing this, tried your hand at this before with VoIP billing. I definitely want to hear from you. If you've tried to do this, what platforms have you used? What have been your challenges? And let's not take it easy on our guests here. Lord knows I put them through the ringer. I actually talked with Mark. Mark, we spoke, what, a full year before we signed on as partners together?
Yes,
Um, so
yes, we
they
did.
are absolutely not scared of answering the hard questions. Um, I guess we could start off with the most obvious one. What's the timeline look like, right? What are what they say? Okay, we wanted to start doing billing to actually working out, started invoicing. What are we looking at timeline wise?
I mean, typically it's you're talking about 4 weeks, and that's just saying typically, and that involves configuring your invoice format, transferring any data across from your other systems that you may have been using. It includes training, taking you through the first billing run. Look, we work very tightly with the OITVOIP team here. They will be the first point of call, and they're very, very good at that, very experienced at the whole VoIP billing subject. And so really, it's something that's made very easy, and we've got we do a lot of implementations and conversions from other systems, and it's but I think the main thing is we're with you the whole way.
Yeah, and so we do our end to make it as easy as possible. Those of you that are already doing white label with us, that we're already providing you, just like we do with other platforms, we're already providing you a product list. We help you get them rated. So we're very much about making sure you can get going as quickly as possible. We have a question here from Scott. Does it offer any kind of proration for mid stuff added mid-month?
Absolutely, and that's a very good question. Yes, it does, and that's something. Obviously, when you're signing up a new customer, it's not always at the start or end of a billing period, and so that we calculate out the percentage charge that would apply for both starting and finishing a customer that may not necessarily be aligned with the billing period.
Absolutely, and so and that's an important thing because we know getting the first product in, getting the contract started, activated. That's great. We look forward to that day. That's our dancing day, right? FOC happens and we get the customer activated. But something I've seen in VoIP, over the years is VoIP is a growing snowball going down the hill. It's getting those additional seats added on later on. It's very quick, very easy for customers. It's not like they have to go out and call another phone vendor. Hey, we need another line card. We need to run new cable. With VoIP, it's just, hey, we're ready to go. Which is I think why so many of our providers have done so well during COVID. Because it's just easy to send somebody home and say, use the mobile app if the desk phone doesn't work from home or whatever, but you have that flexibility. So being able to do these prorated changes, you're going to have these product additions mid-month. Super, super important. So thanks for asking, Scott. I appreciate that. We have another question here from Jada. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and I apologize if I'm not. Regarding Connect Booster, is there a charge to the customer if they pay online, like a fee for processing with a credit card? And if there's a fee that's passed on to us, the MSP. I want to give Mark and the team a pass on this. I brought it up because Mark works. Datagate does work, and I say Mark, and I apologize because all three of you guys and the Datagate team work with Connect Booster flawlessly. Those are Connect Booster questions. Now, I think we are going to do something in the near future with the Connect Booster team as well, because the three of us have such a beautiful ecosystem. Yes, Connect Booster has their fees, and if you want, I'll put my email up on the screen, so you can email that directly to me, Jada, and I will absolutely get you to the right person at Connect Booster. So please, by all means, my email's there. Shoot me an email. I will get you connected, and they will give you all the answers regarding pricing. And while we're on the question, pricing for Datagate for white label partners, it's part of the billing platform. So, it's subject to your MSA, but you're good to go. Is there anything I missed on that, Mark or anybody else?
No, I think that's, yeah, you covered that really well. Thank you. And I mean, Connect Booster is really is an example of the benefit of working with the ConnectWise platform. You get fantastic partners like that who, again, they've got their stay in their lane approach, but they really specialize on payment processing, and they do a fantastic job. And I think, look, that's that's the advantage of this approach. The diagram you see on the screen is just that we work nicely with all the products that you're already using. I briefly had the other diagram there showing how we go straight into QuickBooks or Xero, and alternatively. And I've switched back now.
We don't hear Xero a lot, but Xero,
No.
at least not in the U.S., but I hear it more and more than I used to. Xero, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
they're an Australian accounting company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if anyone recognizes my accent. I spent a lot of time growing up in New Zealand, and so Xero has actually started in New Zealand. It moved to Australia very quickly, and it's sort of now popular around the world. It's very popular in Canada, but one thing I will say is that QuickBooks is definitely the most popular product in the US for accounting and that. So.
Yeah.
So because Datagate, we work fairly internationally, we do have this lot of support for Xero, and we do see Xero in the US as well, but it's definitely QuickBooks is the one that's most popular here.
But if you haven't used Xero, check them out. I did use it in the past. Present day, it's dealer's choice to our CPAs. I have no interest in making that decision. But when I did things myself, Xero was a very easy to use online platform. Definitely worth taking a look at. And just a small note. I had been going back and forth with Mark for so long that the first 6 months or so that I spoke with you, or the first time I spoke with you, you were in New Zealand. Now you're in Canada. Maybe next time I speak with you, be in Miami. We'll be getting drinks on the beach past COVID.
That's right. Yeah. I look forward to that. Yeah. So
absolutely,
we have a very tight connection with Florida, and of course Greg is based there in Jacksonville, and he's I've been there many times on business and with Greg, and he has educated me a lot about the history of Florida, and he's so yeah, we're very very, very tightly a link with your state as well.
Absolutely. And Greg, it goes without saying, and Usman, absolutely, welcome anytime. Not now, but after COVID, welcome anytime. We have speaking of Florida companies, because they do have a headquarters here in Miami on Brickell. Josh V asks, any CASA BMS planned integration?
Yes, I think that's. Generally, it fits our strategy of we're completely MSP focused in terms of the telecom billing support. So CASA is the next one after Autotask. So it is actually something that if you watch our space next year, that's something that we have also on the roadmap.
Yeah, CASA is an interesting one. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. No. Sorry, I just really wanted to just sort of clarify. Right now we have ConnectWise, and that's our PSA that we have here and now and working, and we have obviously a roadmap going forward. I'm always, as a software provider, I'm always really very clear about what we have now and what we have coming up, and so the Autotask and CASA are the ones that are coming up. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's CASA comes up a lot. BMS I would say comes up about as often as Xero comes up for us. It's not an unknown by any mean. You know what I mean? Any means. It's a very full featured, very capable platform. But I have to imagine when you're making decisions, you have to go after the ones that have the lion's share of the market, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So for us, it's really a listening process. We listen to our customers, our prospects. And that's how we sort of form a view about what's important to the MSPs. And so really the feedback we've heard has been that it's the billing piece that was needed for VoIP to work tightly with the tax compliance. So we work very tightly with our tax partners, and so that we solve that particular problem of the billing and the tax, and we make it very, very compatible as we can with ConnectWise and QuickBooks, Xero, and so that's our approach. Stay in our lane. That's what it is. That's our lane. Is that billing.
And that's an interesting approach too, because I believe obviously we have our type partnerships that we work with, and at OIT we provide SureTax. We use CCH SureTax, but you're even agnostic to a few tax rating engines, are you not? Are you?
Yes, yeah, and I think that's come about because we primarily serve the MSPs, and we listen to their requirements and who they want to work with, and so that's why we actually have a network of tax and compliance partners, and also the different tax engines. They're all excellent products, and we wouldn't partner with them if they weren't excellent. And so more recently we've partnered with Avalara and also Compliance Solutions. Compliance Solutions are another great Floridian company.
Yeah, Mark and them.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We work very tightly with them. So really, we're wanting to make the options all open for the MSP and to work with to give them some choice if they with partners. But yeah, CCH SureTax was our first tax engine that we work with, and we've got a long history with them. Excellent product. In fact, I think CCH SureTax that the IRS use for their own tax calculation.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What's the parent company? It's Wolf. I always get it screwed up. It's Wolfgers. I'm not going to try. Anyways, what was that?
Walters Kluwer. Yeah, Walters Kluwer.
Yeah. There you go.
From the Netherlands originally.
Oh, okay, cool. That makes absolute no sense whatsoever. But okay, that works. I love that. Okay, so next question we have. Josh asks, can Datagate send invoices with embedded Quickbooks payments, basically skipping exports to a payment provider? Well, using QuickBooks as the payment provider, I guess, is the better.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we do have clients doing that. So yes, so that's where you're using the QuickBooks online payment processor, and we can.
That is very, very
so really
cool.
It's
Go
a
ahead,
good
Mark.
solution, actually. It's sorry, yeah, no, it's I mean, there's lots of different configuration. I mean, to get I encourage anybody who's got any specific integration type questions to come and talk to us offline as well. I mean, we are constantly spending our time in our development to make the life easier for MSPs and integrating these products together. So it's something that we're improving all the time. So but QuickBooks is a very, very impressive payment solution. I think with the Connect Booster, what our clients like about that is that it sort of sits across the top of the ConnectWise and Datagate and QuickBooks and sort of unifies them together. But yeah, that's but we're pleased to work with all these systems, really.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's most impressed me about you guys, that you don't, you've said that a couple times already in our previous conversations, how you stay in your lane. But I think you go a little beyond that, in that you not only don't do the things others do, you create the path for them to integrate, or you to integrate with them, or however it works, so that you can continue to use those solutions. It's not just we do this, we're not interested in that. It's we don't do that, but we make it so we can work together. And I think that's very important.
Yes.
One of the holy grail of every MSP vendor is always pitching the single pane of glass, right? So if you want to live in a certain ecosystem, you absolutely can continue to do that. And I applaud you guys for having set that up. I think that's phenomenal. So any other questions, guys? I want to take advantage. We will put up everybody's contact information here, of course. But I want to answer, you guys have the dais live. You have them ready to answer your questions. I want to make sure we address each and every one of you. Mark, Greg, you've been notoriously quiet throughout this. Why don't you tell us about your role at Datagate and anything you want to add to the conversation here, man?
Well, sure. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sitting here. I always learn when these guys talk and when you talk as well. But yeah, really my role is helping you guys out. What we do, if it looks like Datagate is something you're interested in, the first thing we do is you and I will sit down on a call and have a long discussion to understand what you're doing. Not everybody's the same. Your needs are different. Your providers, OIT these are great folks. You work with these guys. We need to know what you're trying to do, what you want to do, and where you want to grow to. I try to look at where you are today, but more importantly, where do you want to be in a year from now? What is your growth pattern? What are you trying to do? And we sit down and go over all that. Then we sit down and we don't even present to you until we know all that. We want to know what you're up to, what you're trying to accomplish. And that works out very well. Most of our customers find we do just a wonderful job. Mark and the team and Usman and all those guys, they do a great job of setting you up. But we really want to know what's important for you, because again, there's always differences. You're billing one way or you have an invoice that's a little different. And that's our goal, is to make sure we're not giving you an out-of-the-box solution. We're giving you a configured solution, configured for your needs. It's not custom, but configured. And I think that's an important differentiation we have to want.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, that's something that bears repeating and repeating and repeating. So many of these solutions, are transactional, right? You just go click a few boxes, enter your credit card, and you go. But we're talking about the workflow for an ecosystem, right? We're talking about the workflow for an MSP or for a VoIP provider. And it's not something that you can just change to a blue pen and everything's good. It's very much akin to, we moved from Slack to Teams earlier this year, which we were regretting yesterday when we had a multi-hour outage. But that's a whole separate subject. That was a major change. We just moved from ConnectWise Manage to Salesforce. Literally yesterday was the final day. And these are earth moving changes for an organization. So you don't want to do those by click, enter a credit card and go. You want teams that are going to be engaged and understand your needs and listen to what you say is important, because despite our experiences, we know nobody's going to best describe it other than the actual MSP or service provider. So having teams like this that'll partner with you, it's very important. So good on you guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. And what you're saying is exactly right. Even this morning, I was on a call with an hour and a half with one of your customers talking about how we're going to do it. And that's important. We just don't jump in and say, this is what we do. We go, what do you want to do? And then we configure it for that.
I love that. And especially, one of the things I always look out for is, how open is the partner? And, if you notice, OITVOIP, and our partners know this, we don't just partner with everybody. We had a litany of people we announced partnerships with CCS, but we're very strategic about who we'll engage with, because we want them to give the same level of service as we will. And we're very close with our partners. We enjoy the relationship. Our tagline is welcome to the family, and we mean it. And not every partner is geared that way. I can say, Mark and team, over the past year and change, I've never been met with, why are you asking me this? Listen, I'm busy. Think about how many salespeople or how many vendors will sit and listen to your questions for a year before you agree to anything. And I can count that on one hand, so that kind of engagement is very important. So I applaud you, gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. Absolutely. So unless there's anything else to add or any other questions, I do want to thank you guys for being on the call today. This is very enlightening. I'm going to put our information down below. If you're an OIT partner, email us, Sean or Matt. We'll get you started. Datagate will talk to you directly. It's just, if you're an OIT partner, you're going to go through us. If you're one of our esteemed other NetSapiens providers or people just interested in this, email Datagate, contact them directly. These gentlemen will take care of you. But Mark, Greg, Usman, thank you so much for being on today, guys. I absolutely appreciate you.
Thank you, Ray. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us, Ray.
And goes both ways. We thank you.
Absolutely. So guys and ladies, don't forget we have several other events coming up. On October 8th, we'll have our next Tech Bar, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, featuring the wonderful Heather Margolis from Spark Your Channel and Channel Maven. On 10:15, 1 p.m. Eastern, our next Partner Central, OITVOIP Partner Central and Spark Your Channel webinar, again with Heather, this time with Sean, not with me. But this will be an awesome kickoff for some amazing on-demand video products coming out for our white label partners and soon channel partners as well. And then on October 22nd, our Halloween edition of the Tech Bar, 6:30 p.m. with Jonathan from Ninja RMM. So Guys, join us, subscribe. Our links are below. Contact Datagate, contact us. We appreciate having you on. Have an awesome and amazing day. Take care, guys.